Hello?
Hello.
Okay. Is everybody here? I think so, right? Joe, do we have anybody else joining us? Okay, you're muted, but that's okay, Joe.
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Okay, good evening. It's 7 o'clock. Welcome to the July 20th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Plattsburgh. We have 4 meetings and 4 applications this evening. Appeal number 2243, Denise Nephew, 24 Smith Street. I'm assuming she's here and waiting for permission to be part of our group. Alina Feller, Appeal 2244, special use permit for a fence in the backyard again. 2245, Richard Jarrett, Class B area variance to construct a detached garage within the rear yard setback and actually has a height issue. And 2246, James Abdallah, Class B area variance request to construct a front porch within the side yard setback and expand pavement within the side yard setback. We also had at that, when the agenda was published, Appeal 2232, City of Plattsburgh, 32 Durkee Street. The applicant, both including Prime, and I'm assuming since the city is the actual applicant, the city have requested to be removed from this month's agenda and placed back in the August agenda as they were still finalizing some changes. So if anybody in the viewing public is here for Prime, Durkee Street, DRI, etc., there will be no action or discussion on that tonight. I will say that we've received comments from many people up through the deadline today at noon. And we will not be dealing with anything with Prime tonight. And I just want to stress for everybody's reading and watching that we do have the comments and that the board members take it very seriously and read them. There's been some discussion about whether we do or don't read them, but we do read them to make sure that we understand what everybody's position is. Anyway, with that said, we're going to start with Denise Nephew. So however you want to get her joined in. Hi, Denise. You're muted, Denise. You got to push the space bar.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay.
We can only see your glasses though, but that's okay.
Okay.
Hi, Denise.
Ron.
There you go.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Did you call the meeting to order and take roll call? Just for the people.
No, I did not. I can do that, I guess.
Yeah, please do that.
I used to never do that. Is that what we're supposed to do now? All right. Sorry, Denise.
No, that's okay. I know the procedure.
I did actually call the meeting to order, I thought. But anyway, I'm calling, if not, the meeting to order July 20th, 2020. I'll do a roll call. Kelly? Ellie?
Here.
Peter? PJ?
Here.
Do you want to be called PJ, not Peter, correct?
PJ's fine.
Okay. And Kathy?
Here.
Megan?
Here.
Okay. And I'm here. So there are 6 members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, 4 regulars, 2 alternates. This evening, the alternate serving, because we're going to let PJ watch at least one meeting before he participates, if that's okay, PJ, will be Ellie. And okay, Denise.
Yes.
Now that we're here, you're asking for a special use permit to place a fence that exceeds 6 feet in the rear yard, which is allowed by special permit.
Yes.
you've got a full application here, which we know you're familiar with.
I am.
Don't we? Yes. And it is not a variance, it's actually a special use permit, so it's a matter of right. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Quite a bit.
And we have a seeker and it says, does the proposed act require permit approval, city building permit, and special, I'm gonna change it, Denise.
All
I'm
right.
changing it
All right, change it.
to, also needs a special use permit. You knew that. You just wanted to let me do that. So under number 2, we're gonna say SUP from ZBA.
I'll
And
make
then the
sure.
rest of this, the rest of this, seeker, oh, I'm sorry, did I do the wrong one? I think I just did the wrong one, Denise, my apologies. I think I just did Demo Dollars.
Yeah, she has,
I got the papers, not your fault, my fault. Here we are.
I should
maybe
know
you
how to
did it
fill
right.
it out.
Yeah, you should, I know that. That was my fault. I was on the wrong one. No, you're
That's all
all
right. That's all right.
You're right. I was looking at the wrong one. My apologies.
That's
I got
all
the
right.
papers mixed up. So we have a long form seeker, and I guess this is a matter of right, as I said, as long as she's complying, which she is. If you look at the diagram, she's asking for it only where it's allowed. Joe, do you agree that the diagram that on the low stationary shows 8-foot fence only in the rear yard?
Yes, there's a portion that's in the side yard, but that's permitted as well with that special use permit.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, rear or side yard, yeah. It's not in the front yard because it's not past the front, I mean, it's not out of the front yard, correct? It's all in
That's
the
right.
side yard. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this application or comments before we go to the seeker? I
I'm
guess
sorry.
I would
I have a
also
quick
ask,
question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The application says you're looking for 36 feet on the west.
Yeah, that's in the rear, basically rear, but it's the west side of the property.
I'm just confused, or I don't know. I'm looking at this map
Yes,
and the number right here, it says 33 feet.
yeah, that might be a little off. That was Lowe's drawing. But my lot is 36 feet wide there.
Okay, so it is 36 for sure.
Yeah, I wish it was more, Kelly, but it's not.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The only other thing I say, I'm assuming that we have public comments open for all 4 of these. Ethan, is anybody raising their hand?
I'm here, Ron, and there's no one yet.
All right. So while we're waiting, I'll open the public comment period, but I think we'll do the seeker while we're waiting to see if anybody does, for a little efficiency. So first of all, if nobody has any other questions regarding the seeker, I'm looking for a motion of no adverse environmental impact.
I'll move that based on a review of the full environmental assessment form, that the proposed action will not result in any adverse environmental impact.
Okay. Seconded by Kelly.
Yep, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, Ethan, do we have anybody holding their hand up?
No hands, Ron.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing portion of this then. And we are chatting with who, Joe, for the votes? You?
Shalice,
Shalice? Okay. So everybody go to Shalice, open up their chat. Yeah, well, I just wanted to get that ready before we do the motion. I just want to make sure.
Ron,
So,
was there a letter submitted on this one? Trying to find it.
There was one letter by one neighbor for this application.
Yep. I don't know if you want to mention it or have to mention it. I just, it was Patricia Hoffman.
say it again.
I think we had one neighbor letter. I think she was opposed to it, Pat Hoffman. Not neighbor, but I guess she was a neighbor. I don't remember where she lives or where her property is.
Right.
Did you see that?
I don't remember seeing it, but was it a pro letter or?
It was an objection. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, would you please?
Okay. To zoning board of appeals members and Mr. McMahon, I wish to register an objection to the variance requested by D. Nephew for an 8-foot high fence around her property at 24 Smith Street. I think that an 8-foot fence is exceedingly excessive in this small residential area and will change the character/tone of the neighborhood. I can't imagine the hardship that might allow this variance not as stipulated. I respectfully submit that the ordinance allowed max height is probably sufficient for normal residential use. Pat Hoffman.
Okay, thanks. And that would be more, something we would consider more if this was a variance, but it's not a variance, it's a special use permit. And she's allowed to use it unless somebody feels that, I don't particularly feel that these 8-foot fences in rear yards and side yards are detrimental myself, so.
So-
Does anybody else have a comment regarding this?
I was just calling to see if you had made plans for their end. Or if you're kind of just going.
Is somebody talking? I can't. No. Oh, okay. All right. No other comments on this, then I'm looking for a motion regarding the granting of the special use permit for this property. 24 Smith Street.
Kelly, did you make a motion?
No, I'm looking for a motion.
No, I saw Kelly talking and I didn't know if she was talking to us or not.
Yeah,
I'll make a
no,
motion.
I just wanted to get the chat thing set up so we could vote.
Yeah, I'll make a motion on appeal number 2243 for Denise Nephew, 24 Smith Street, for a special use permit for a fence exceeding 6 feet in the, I guess we would say rear yard and side yard. I would move that we approve that based on the diagram submitted.
Okay, seconded by Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. I'll get you next one. Okay, so we're gonna now text our vote, chat with Shalice. A yes vote is to approve.
I have 4 votes.
Well, who
Now
are
I've
you
got
missing?
5. Oh, now I've got 5. Megan is a yes.
Yes.
Kathleen is a yes.
Yes,
Ron is a yes.
Yes,
Ellie is a yes.
Yes.
And Kelly is a yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
okay. We're all set. Denise, you're all set. Go get your fence permit and enjoy the privacy.
Thanks so much, you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Nice to see you, Denise. All right. That is the first one. The second one is Alina and Feller and Bill Ferguson. Bill Ferguson, 33 Leonard Avenue. We're waiting for them to join us.
I'm here. Hi.
Hi. can you tell me, is it Alina or Alina?
It's Alina.
Hi, Alina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. You're here with all the zoning board members, and we're talking about your application for a special use permit for a fence taller than 6 feet in the rear yard of your property or in the, so what we want to do is talk about, you've got an application in and you have a long, full environmental form done, and you've got the zoning board. The only other local agency that you're going to on your long form seeker is any other local agencies. You have no, should be yes, there should be a building permit. Okay, no big deal. That's on page 2 of 13. Okay, from the city building inspector. And you do have us there. Okay. So no problem. Do people have any questions about this fence at 33 Leonard Avenue for the applicant as a board before I open to the public, and then we can discuss the seeker? Any questions at all? No? Okay. Ethan, would you check and see if anybody is raising their hand regarding this? And while you're doing that, I'd like to do the seeker. People, I assume, have read the seeker. These fences really barely pertain, frankly, because most often the special use permits are things like, multi-use buildings and parking lots and stuff. But these are, there's not much of an environmental impact, obviously, on a fence, except for maybe sunlight somewhere. If anybody has any other changes, I accept them. If not, I'm looking for a motion regarding the full environmental assessment form seeker and no adverse environmental impact. Who wants to make that?
I'll make it, Ron.
Okay, Kelly,
I
thank
make
you.
motion that for the building permit for the special use permit application 2244, after review of the full environmental impact assessment form, it is determined that there is no negative environmental impact.
Hey, Ron,
Okay.
before we do that, did you talk about putting the building permit on there? Did I miss that?
Say that again.
Did you talk about listing building permit in addition to zoning board approval? Did I miss that?
I
Well-
said that, yeah.
You did? Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I corrected that on page 2 of 13
Okay,
under all the
sorry.
local agencies.
Do we
That's okay.
do we need to list Lake Champlain on the back page, on the last page?
Say it again, I'm sorry. I didn't
Do
hear
we
you.
need to list Lake Champlain on the last page as a publicly accessible federal resource?
Oh, the archaeological one, is that what you're saying?
It's H on the last page that's signed.
Oh, yeah, she's got yes, and she's got, what do you want to add to that? The light? Okay, on the
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, because it would be within that 2-mile distance from there.
And I'm not sure if
5 miles.
F is, I don't know if F is correct because it says, is it located in or adjacent to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites? That's one of those ones that this, Alina, did you fill this out online and it filled out a bunch of it for you?
Yes.
Yes, and it fills that out wrong. It's a no.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You're
but I
not,
just wanna
you're not
argue with
next to
it.
there's no archaeological digs next to, on Leonard Avenue.
I didn't think so.
Okay, so with those changes, I guess, Kelly, would you modify it to say with those changes?
Yes, with the changes to letter F, in section E.3, with the change to no with letter F and with the addition of Lake Champlain to letter H, subsection I.
Okay,
We find that there is no environmental impact.
great.
I'll second.
So who's gonna second that? Megan did or no?
Kathleen,
Okay, I wanted to let
Oh.
Megan do that. Kathy.
I can take it.
I withdraw.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Okay. All right, so we're set on that part. Now we have the special use permit. Ethan, has anybody raised their hand to comment on this?
No hands raised, Ron.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, are there any other questions about this relative to, the application itself? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
you got this one, Megan? You gotta get your feet wet sometime.
This is a motion to
You
grant a
went without
special
any
use permit. Who wants to do it? I'm really.
All right, I'll
looking
make a
forward to it.
motion. So I make a motion for special use permit request number 2244 to grant the special use permit request that the fence that exceeds 6 feet in the rear yard be granted.
Do we
Okay.
need to call that side yard as well? Like the last one, rear and side?
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't hear. You're
You
all
didn't hear
set?
me? It's the rear and the side yard, right?
Okay, I think that my paperwork is missing something. That's why I was confused earlier because I'm missing some stuff and I've got some stuff I probably shouldn't have.
No, it's on the back side of them. They got copied back and forth. They're not each, in other words, the back
So
of
it's gotta be
one.
on the back of something else
Okay,
that's mixed in
that's
here.
fine.
I apologize.
No
So
problem.
in addition to that, the rear and the side yard.
Okay. Seconded by Ellie this time. Don't worry, there's another one. There's more opportunities for seconding. Don't worry. Okay, so we are now chatting with Shalice. A yes vote is to approve the special use permit. While this is going on, I just want to tell you something. You know, I grew up on Sanborn Avenue in Plattsburgh, so there's Leonard Avenue, which is at the top of the Park Avenue Hill, if you will. When I grew up, that was the end of the real world, Leonard Avenue. It was Leonard's Woods after that. Leonard's Woods. There were literally no streets up there when I grew up. None after Leonard Avenue. Yeah. Just so you know.
That was like 80 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 70.
It was
actually.
when
But who's counting, okay?
the dinosaurs roamed beyond Leonard, right? You couldn't go there.
We used to, okay, so Shalice, did you get 5 votes?
No, I'm actually missing Ellie's.
Sorry, I typed it in hand.
Okay.
Right now I have all 5. Kathleen is a
Ellie-
yes.
Yes.
Megan is a yes.
Yes.
Ron is a yes.
Yes.
Kelly is a yes,
Yes.
and Ellie is a yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Alina, you're all set. Go get a building permit from the city of Plattsburgh, building inspector, and build your fence. Thank you very much for participating.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good night, thank you. All right. Is everybody okay to keep going? It's been 25 minutes now. We are on the third application. Richard Jarrett, we'll find out how we say it, but I believe that's what it is. Hi, Richard. How do you say your last name, sir? No, you're muted. Touch your space bar.
Jarrett, sorry.
Jarrett?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Richard. Do you like Richard? Dick?
Rich is fine.
Okay. You're looking for a Class B variance request to construct a detached garage within the rear yard setback. And we have your application. Couple things. One is that the application talks about you being too close to the property line. Is that where the existing garage is now?
That's correct.
All right. But I know that it looks like we have an estimate for a foundation. Are you not using the existing foundation?
That's also correct.
Right. Just out of curiosity, is there a reason it needs to be back further like that, or could you move it closer, further away from the property line at all?
So it comes down to driveway space, really. It's just about 30 feet to the sidewalk, and I could barely squeeze two cars.
Right. Actually, I hate to tell you, that's not supposed to be parking. I don't care really, but one of them is a legal space, but you're not supposed to have parking in the front yard. I'm not housing it, but now I understand why. It's because does the existing driveway come up to the front of the garage that you're going to build?
Yes, it does.
I can share a big
Okay.
garage.
So, right, so you can't move it forward, right? You
Right.
can't move it forward, and it's got to line up with the door, basically, right?
Right.
To get the car in. Okay, so that's the reason. You understand that the whole principle of this replacing garage thing is that if you wanted to, you could, as an example, jack the garage up and hold it up off the ground, tear out the floor and pour a new floor, lower it back down, and then replace it wall by wall without having to do this. But of course, it costs a fortune, and it's not the most practical way to build. So that's why when we look at replacing buildings where existing buildings are, you not easily, but you could have done that, and we take that into account and say, well, it's not fair to make somebody build wall by wall and floor separate. So that's often the justification for being in the same original footprint. If you came and said, oh, and I want to make it 10 feet wider, still 1.5 feet off the property line, that's when it starts to get a little bit funkier or whatever, okay?
Right. Right.
But it makes sense. So that's one issue. The other issue that you have is that the roof is so steep that you exceed the height allowed. Do you know about that?
Yes, I thought it was 12.5 feet, actually, mean roof height. I did as
Well-
many calculations as my brain could process.
Yeah, that's okay. But what I'm going to tell you is that, and again, I'm looking at one of the diagrams that you presented, the front interior with structure, and what it's showing is 9'2" to the top of the wall, and then it's showing the bottom chord of the truss, if you will, and then 9 feet from the top of that chord up to the top of the roof. Okay, which makes sense. In one way, it makes sense because it's it's a 12 on 12 pitch, so it comes in as much as it goes up.
Right.
But realistically, I think that if you're 18 feet from outside of wall to outside of wall on a 12 on 12 pitch, you're not quite gonna be that. The building inspector, I thought it was 2 feet over. I thought that you were right around, I took the 9'2" plus 6 inches for a bottom chord, okay, which might even be thicker, but anyway, and there was a truss drawing, but I'm not so worried about that. And I took half of that 9 feet, which was 4.5 feet. Okay, and you add
Yep.
that to the 9'2", and you come up with 13.8 average as opposed to 12. I think it might be a little more, but the building inspector has determined 13.8, and I have no problem using that. It's within a few inches. I mean, whether it's 1'8" or 2 foot isn't the issue. The reason for that is because, frankly, if this were a bigger garage, you'd be able to have a living space up there, or where you would project out over the neighborhood from a higher vantage point, noise and activity wise.
I see.
Okay, but this is a small garage. I don't see you putting an apartment up there, or
No,
even a
no,
game room, frankly. No,
No.
it's for storage, correct? It's for
That's correct.
storage,
That's correct.
So that, I'm gonna open up to the board to see if they have any questions about or concerns about that. Because obviously you could always just buy a less steep truss and you wouldn't have the storage up there. To comply, you'd end up with 7 feet. You'd probably end up with about a 6 foot tall area up there that you could crawl around in to store stuff. So I'm gonna open this to the board first to see if there are any questions about this. Any concerns about the 2 foot, about either the closeness to the property line, which makes sense because of the driveway, and the 2 foot, 1'8" to 2 foot excessive amount that exceeds the height.
Ron, can you please tell me again, what is the current height of the existing garage?
I don't know what that is. It's not shown. What's
12
the
foot
existing garage?
6.
What is it?
12'6".
12'6". Okay. So
And
he's asking for, a little bit taller so that he can, again, it's a small garage. He's asking for a little bit taller so that he can use it for storage.
thank you, Kyle.
Right.
And is that the house on the right there, or is your house off to the left?
That's my green space, my backyard, and the primary structure is to the left of the picture.
Okay. Well, the question I was going to ask was, how does this compare to the surrounding buildings? But you can see that that house right there to the right is quite tall.
Yeah.
And your house looks like it's also a 2-story. I think it looks like a dormer maybe. It's hard to tell in the trees.
That's actually my neighbor's home. My house is out of view.
How many stories
okay.
do you have in your home?
That's on the other street, right?
Right. My address is actually 17 Bailey, even though my side yard, which is where this garage is on North Catherine Street. My house is a 2-story structure.
Right.
It is or it isn't?
It is a
Okay.
2-story structure. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So, the main reason is to keep this within the same footprint, right? And the other issue is whether or not it, that height would allow for a pretty big upstairs, which it doesn't really. It's really for storage. And we've granted these before. I'm not sure about this group so much as I remember Brian Hercolo had one over on same thing. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yes.
Right, yeah. Same thing, really, wasn't it? His was actually bigger even, I think. So, does anybody else have any other questions about this? Okay, while we're gonna look at the seeker, Ethan or Kyle, you can let me know I'm gonna open the public hearing if anybody raises their hand or has a comment. Did we have any correspondence on this one? I don't think so, correct?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I don't believe so either. All right, and so let's talk about the seeker. Which I'm working my way towards. And this is the one, that messed me up, right? This is the online one. Is this, just out of curiosity, this isn't to you, Richard, but Sharice, is this on the city website?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
city website has various forms that you can fill out online where it's the same questions, but it comes through as like a, I don't know, a simple form
understand.
through the,
In the future, I think what we ought to do is try and make those as fillable PDFs so that then they look the same when we're done, and you can create those fillable PDFs and people can still do it online.
yeah,
but then
eventually
they-
I'd like to replace everything that's on the website. Some of the other forms or some of the applications are like seeker forms, I think from
Yeah.
the 80s.
Right. I did read through it. Originally, it kind of threw me. But did people look at and understand this thing? It just doesn't look the same, and all the questions are the same. And at the end, it allows me to still answer the same questions 1 through 11 and sign it, etc. Does anybody have any questions about the seeker? Go ahead, Kathy.
I think on number 2, I'm not sure. It says, it says page 2 at the bottom too, but number 2, does the proposed action require a permit, et cetera? So the answer was no there. So obviously we need to change that.
Right. So that is yes, and it needs variances and building permit. Right? Variances from ZBA, building permit from building inspector. Okay?
I didn't see anything else, so I'll make a motion unless anybody else has a
Okay.
comment.
I don't. Either Kyle, Xavier, raise your hand. Okay. If not, then I'm looking for a motion that will authorize me to check little or no impact on the 11 questions and sign the form saying little or no impact.
I'll move on appeal 2245 after review of the short environmental assessment form. Then in part 2 of that form, chair checks no or little impact for questions 1 through 11 and sign at the bottom.
Okay, seconded by Megan. Thank you, Megan. All right. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay. All right. I will sign this and check 1 through 11. So we're all set on the seeker. Relative to the garage, the 2 things are that we're looking to approve as per plans, the proximity to the property line being no different than the existing garage as shown on the plan submitted, number one, and number two, to allow the height of the garage, and just to be safe, I would say to average 14 feet on the roof as opposed to 12 feet, just to be safe.
Hey, Ron,
Yes,
for a point of clarification, I think he is gonna be, bigger in the back. Closer
Say it
to the
again.
property line. Okay, so he's 3 feet from the property line on the back. And that's gonna be wider. So he's exaggerating that nonconformity. On the south side where he's 1 foot, he's not gonna be any closer.
so he's gonna be closer on the back by how much?
He's gonna be the same, but he's wider, so he's aggravating that nonconformity on the backside,
yeah.
which is 3
Okay.
feet from the line.
I understand what
Okay,
you
how
mean.
wide, the existing garage is 15 feet wide,
11,
11, and you're going to 18.
correct.
So 7 feet of it, right, Joe?
7 feet by 2, so it's 14 square feet.
Okay. But not along the other side,
But not, yes, that's right.
right? It's 18 by whatever, 11, now it's gonna be 18 by 18.
Right.
Which is why the slope, why it gets taller, because it's the same roof slope, or give or take, but
More or
on a
less,
wider
yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's clarified. Does anybody want to make a motion regarding that?
I'll make a motion. I'll move on appeal 2245 for Richard Jarrett at 17 Bailey Avenue, that we approve a Class B area variance with regard to the roof and allow a maximum height of roof on a garage, on a newly constructed garage, to 14 feet high, and that we approve an exacerbation of an existing encroachment on the side yard setback on the east side, but in an amount of, or in an area of 2 feet by 7 feet.
I'll
Right.
second that, Ron.
Okay, did you say, by the way, roof height, average roof height, or just roof height? Because it should be average.
I might not have said average, yeah, I'll modify that to average roof height of 14 feet.
Okay, so we are going to, seconded by Kelly, was it? Okay, so we will chat a yes or no vote to Shalice. What do you think, PJ? Fun? Are you liking it? It's not bad, is it?
No, it's not bad at all.
Yeah. Good. All right.
I've got all 5 votes. Ron is a yes.
Yes.
Ellie is a yes.
Yes.
Megan is a yes.
Yes.
Kelly is a yes.
Yes.
Kathleen is a yes.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, guys,
Okay.
I missed who did the second on the seeker. Was that Megan? It was Kelly. Thank you. On
Megan.
the seeker,
Second was,
Megan. Okay.
you were on this,
Thank
on
you.
the motion. Okay, so Richard, you're all set to get your building permit, go to the, submit plans to the building inspector, get your permit, and build your garage.
Thank you very much. But if I may, I worked exclusively with Nick Walker and Shalice, and they were so helpful. They took the time to answer a million questions that I sent to them, and I really appreciate
Great.
the extra effort. So thank you all.
Not a problem. Yeah, thank you. Glad you participated in the process. Enjoy it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks all.
Okay, and the last application from James Abdallah, 55 Leonard Avenue. Jim, we wish you'd have Mike Coons come and do this for you, but
Don't prepare this. like that.
Okay. Not a problem. Okay, so Jim, I think you broke the tie with public comments. I think you beat Prime this month. No, I don't think you did. But anyway, this is a request for variances for two things. Number one, to encroach on the required side yard setback with a porch, an area approximately 1 foot by 8 foot, and to pave an area approximately 10 or so feet, 12 feet by, that should be 3 foot from the property line, but is only in fact 1'4", and then a small sliver that extends that down, and then the rest is existing paved driveway, correct?
Correct.
Whether you repair or pave over that, it's existing already if you maintain it. But it's only the new part in the rear where it's shaded, and it's only 1'8" by about 10, 12 feet, something like that.
That sounds about right.
And so, right, 18 to 20 square feet, maybe something like that. And again, about 8 square feet on the porch, intruding into the side yard setback. You have a full application. You have a seeker. It's yours that item number 2 on the seeker. I thought yours was Denise's at first, but it's not. It says city building permit also needs variances from ZBA on there. We like those both under number 2. Anyway, I'm going to open this to the board first for questions regarding the plan itself before we even get to the seeker. Does anybody have questions regarding this?
I do. I'm
Okay,
trying
go ahead,
to just get some clarification on the drawing that I have here. So your existing pavement, am I correct in understanding the garage? Was there a garage there and it doesn't exist anymore?
Correct.
Okay, so the existing pavement that is there is what we're seeing in the bright white. And you are looking to add what is the gray area.
Correct.
So what is the existing full width of that bigger section in the backyard? Well, yeah, the backyard area, the width of it. So in the gray, it says it's 20 feet wide. What is existing there now?
Existing width wise, existing there now is about 22 to 23 feet. It's that white area. So there is a little sliver of gray you see that widens it out so that it's a full 20 foot wide.
So it's currently like 19 feet wide?
Or 19 feet. I apologize. Yeah, it's 19 feet.
Okay. Okay, so that is literally 1 foot more that you're asking on that one section. And then what is the additional amount that you're looking for in the 25-foot section? Are you saying that you're looking for an additional 14 feet? Or 13?
It's about 13 feet roughly.
But Kelly, only along the property line. It's not the whole pad. It's the fact that paving is supposed to be 3 feet from the property line, and it's only 1'4", so it's only 1'8" of that gray area. It's 1'8" of the gray area away from the property line.
Okay.
It's not that whole thing. It's just the
follow
1'8", right? In other words, he's supposed to be 3 feet away, and he wants to get it 1 foot 4 away, which is actually better than it is at the front. And, is that a shared driveway or something at the front? Or is
No.
this right to the property line?
No, so actually, all of that white driveway was the existing driveway from the home that was there before my house, before the house that burned down. That was all the original driveway. And the
Right.
yeah, it actually, in the front yard, it actually goes over the property line.
Right, that's, okay, that was my question. All right.
Yeah.
So to be clear, Kelly, what he's looking for is that little tiny sliver and then 1 foot 8 by 10 feet right along the property line to be able to pave that where it's supposed to be 3 feet. That's it for the paving, that little area. And then on the porch, right, just that little area right there. And then on the porch, it's just 1 foot by 8 foot. Okay? And Jim, I'll ask also, all the coverages are included in the proposed outbuildings and all that. That's the 25%, give or take,
Right.
with everything shown on here.
Correct.
Okay, so there's no variances for that. The only variance are these two. Right? Right.
Correct.
Questions from anybody regarding this? I'm opening it to the public, by the way, just so that Ethan and Kyle can see if anybody raises their hand while we're discussing it. Any other questions from anybody regarding this? Nope. All right, let's do the seeker while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions. And you're building a porch that doesn't really, actually, I would disagree with, let me see, 5. Is the proposed action a permitted use under the zoning regulations? You have yes, but I think I would say no, Jim. Because that's why you're here for a variance. That's items, page 2 of 3. Okay?
Okay.
No big deal. But other than that, I don't really have any issues. The question here is, this does not seem to have, for some reason, the pages that, the 11 questions and the part that I signed. But I can put that at the end anyway on my copy that I turned back in. So, Kyle, do we have anybody? No question. Okay, great. Who can see that? You can, Shalice? Can you see? And you can, and Ethan can? Okay.
Everyone
All right, so
can.
I'm looking. Right,
Everyone
I
will
don't
be
wanna
able to
see
see it.
any. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, so I'm looking for a motion regarding the seeker with the changes noted. Megan, you want to try this? Come on, it's not that hard. We'll talk you through it. Come on.
Telling you, a nice little easy fence
You
one
can
with
do
no
this.
crazy changes. No.
Yeah. Okay, so very seriously, this is we want you to make a motion regarding the short form environmental form that the chair can say, answer no or small impacts to the 11 questions and sign the form saying that there is no or little negative impact, no or little impact from the project, environmental impact. That's all you have to motion. I'll tell it to you again as you do it through the phone. Come on. You can do it.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Go ahead.
Okay, I motion to approve the short environmental assessment form. Noting that little or no impact would occur because of the project. Is that okay? So it's not the right
And
words.
that
I don't know.
And that the chair, and that the chairman, that the chair, and that the chair can
And that
answer
the
no to
chair.
the 11 questions, can answer no to the 11 questions and sign the form that no or little impact will happen.
And that the chair can sign the form stating that no or little environmental impact will occur.
No or little, that's right. Okay? I'll take
Okay.
a second from
Yep.
Ellie. Ellie, do you want to second it?
Second.
Megan and Ellie. There we go. All right. All in favor? Aye. Meg, aye. Aye. Okay. So that's the seeker. Thank you. Great job. Now, if there are no other questions.
Thank you, everyone.
you're- Okay. Who's that? Does somebody
Megan.
have a question?
Megan was just saying thank you. You did a good
Oh.
job, Megan.
Good job, Meg.
I think my internet's lagging. I'm sorry.
What's that? Nothing. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion now relative to appeal number 2246, James Abdallah, 55 Prospect Avenue, to grant variances for paving too close to the property line and an 8 square foot area within the side yard setback.
I'll move on appeal number 2246 for James Abdullah at 55 Prospect Avenue for a Class B area variance that we approve that variance to construct a front porch within the side yard setback. And correct me if I'm wrong, the figures are about 7 feet from the setback where 7.8 feet is required. And for a covered porch in front of the home. And for the expanding of pavement within the side yard setback within about 1 foot 4 inches from the property line where 3 feet is required, all as per the proposed site plan submitted with the application.
I'll second
Okay,
that.
seconded by Kelly. So a yes vote is to grant the variances. And they should all be going to Shalice.
Okay, I have all 5. Ron is a yes.
Yes.
Kathleen is a yes.
Yes.
Ellie is a yes.
Yes.
Kelly is a yes.
Yes.
Megan is a yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. You're all set, Jim?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Bye,
See you later.
Kathleen.
Have a nice evening.
Thanks. Bye-bye. You did good, Meg. It's fine.
I wanted to throw up. It's also fine.
Pretty soon you're gonna be begging to make motions. Trust me. Once you do it, you get hooked.
I don't think so.
Like a drug.
Well, some of us do. Some of us get our kicks in odd ways, you know. Did you hear my motion? Wow. Anyway, all right, so that's the 4 of them. We have the issue of the fact that we want to ratify our agreement with our legal counsel we hired. I'm gonna let Kathleen deal with that.
Okay, so as we talked about in the pre-meeting, I just want to formalize what we all are aware of is that we've been having assistance with legal counsel from Corey Auerbach at Barclay Damon Law Firm, and that was based on a letter of engagement or a retainer agreement that Ron signed on April 24th, 2020. And so obviously that's been a few months, so I would move that we ratify Ron's action in signing that letter of engagement on April 24th, 2020 to hire Corey in connection with the Durkee Street project.
Do we need a seconded motion? Is that how that
Yes.
works? Okay, I second that.
All right. I think we can do this with a show of hands. Do you think, or do you want to have an actual vote, Kat?
I think we probably should have a roll call on it.
Okay.
Maybe
So
a show of hands and then go through like we do with the applications. we
Right,
did.
okay. All right. All in favor of ratification, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Meg, do you say aye? Oh, I don't know if she can even vote on it,
Oh,
actually,
it said she's frozen.
because
There she is.
I don't know if she can vote on it because she's not doing the prime thing, but I guess she could, right?
I lost my internet. I mean, is it just for Prime or is it just going forward in general?
Just for Corey's representation, but I mean, if we have 4 votes, Ron, I mean,
Yeah, 4 votes is enough anyway.
maybe
Yeah,
we don't.
I mean, I'm just saying. Well, Ellie could vote. Oh, Ellie did vote, right?
I did.
DJ can't vote.
Good.
Well, I mean, he could, but it wouldn't. We're okay with 4 votes? Only because you weren't here then, PJ, otherwise we'd let you vote. You know what I mean? But you weren't around during the, when we're ratifying, right? So I guess we're okay, so let's do it. Kathleen, your vote was?
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Ellie,
Yes.
and my vote was yes, so we've ratified that. Okay. Do we have any other business? No?
Do we have
Okay.
any old minutes we need to approve?
I don't think we have any minutes to approve right now, do we? No. But we should be getting some at some point. Okay, we're all set. Prime is gonna be coming at the next meeting, which is the August 17th meeting. To discuss, we still, by the way, just as an aside, are working on the findings. Even no matter what Prime is or isn't making for changes, if we get findings done and thought about, they may be mitigated by and or I can give you as an example, which I didn't want to talk about too much, but Prime has agreed to change the materials on the project to be either cultured masonry, or EIFS, exterior insulation finish system, stow brick, they called it stow, but basically stucco type materials. They have removed from the material list all the clapboard and board and batten or board and gap siding. So they really pretty much agreed as an example to have materials that are sympathetic with downtown, which was something that we talked about in our findings statement. That was an issue that we might say that the original findings had that. I'm just giving you something to think about for during the next month. That the original findings talked about those materials, but that we know that the project is now changed in that way, or whatever. The setbacks have changed as an example. So I'm gonna be getting some of that out to everybody that doesn't know about it. Exactly, but we're also waiting to hear some new stuff from them. But we should still, A, be looking at the findings to make sure what issues we have, what we want included in our findings and not, number one. And number two, making sure we've read all the comments. Now, I would tell you that if the comments closed today at noon, because there was supposed to be a meeting today at noon, tonight, about Prime. Now that Prime has been postponed until August 17th, I'm assuming that public comments, written public comments can be taken up to noon of the August 17th meeting, because the postponement would seem to automatically allow that. Does anybody disagree with that? Right? Okay, so that's number one. I have had a lot of inquiry, and as you read the correspondence and comments, you can see a bunch of them say, if Prime is changing this, will you reopen, or please open the public comment period again during the thing? And we'll have to talk about that at the next meeting. I don't think we can really, until we see what's really being proposed, we can decide if we want to do that. Until then, we can, and that's something that can happen pretty easily if need be. And frankly, if they're not coming until August, they had already agreed to extend it at least 1 month coming in July and or more, even before they did the extension. So the issue of the date to make decisions is really pretty much not there anymore. Once they're coming with new plans, it can take some time and exploration. So that's kind of where we're at. But I think what people should be, and I know it's right at the top of your list to do for in life, is to look at these findings. So I want you to do them tonight and tomorrow all day. So anyway, we'll get to them. We have some time, but I think we really want to think about what needs to be in there and make sure the findings are still going to be separate from our decisions about the special use permits. But anyway, we're not doing any of it for a month. So that's pretty good. If people have questions about it, send them to me individually. Okay? And I will send out a thing individually to people about what's going on. Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say that depending on when that meeting is, I seem to usually be gone that month, but we're Zooming anyway, right? So I'll just Zoom in from wherever I am.
Say it again.
I said I'm usually gone during the August meeting, but since we're not planning on meeting in person anytime soon, right?
Right.
Okay. So
there's that's another discussion now that you bring that up. But no, as far as I'm concerned anyway, my daughter won't let me go to public meetings. No, but as far as I'm concerned, truly, I understand they had common council meetings. The Prime meeting on Wednesday, I told them I would attend, but only by Zoom. And then Kelly ended up Zooming in, and two of the architects Zoomed in. So Joe, nobody's telling us to have in-person meetings yet, are they?
No, even if that does somehow happen, that we can still Zoom in whoever we need to.
Yeah.
I
will tell you. Go ahead, Kathy.
I was just going to say that, I obviously don't want to abandon the group for that particular application, but normally I'm not here in August, so I would ask that unless it's necessary that I only Zoom in for that meeting. Otherwise,
Right.
I have this 1 week every year we go away, and I'd rather not take up the entire evening.
Right.
One of those days with zoning board. No offense, love y'all, but
Yeah, and what I would tell you is that I'm not ready to do any in-person meetings in City Hall. As I said, the one that we had on Wednesday with Prime, I said I would be glad to do only as a Zoom meeting, and I was accommodated, and so was Kelly, and so were the architects. But what I will tell you even with my phone on, which Ethan came through on for me, even with my phone on, I could barely understand anything anybody was saying in City Hall chambers. I mean, it's not just, right, Kelly? It wasn't just my hearing either. It's horrible. I mean, it's absolutely, I couldn't tell you who was in the room, and I absolutely could not understand I could hear when people were laughing at something. I was hoping it wasn't me, but anyway, and I you couldn't hear, it's terrible. You can't really hear. So this is a much more controlled thing. And whether the public now starts talking about wait until we can have, again, people in person, frankly, I'm and my wife and I are in a high risk group. We're in the vulnerable population, and I'm not going to do that. And there's no reason not to have Zoom meetings, as far as I'm concerned, certainly for August at least. And we'll see how it goes in September if the cases are rising or gotten better, But does anybody have an issue with still having Zoom meetings? Right? I mean, I just think it's the safest, best way, especially with people coming from out of town. So that's where we're at. So right now, yes, the August meeting will be a Zoom meeting, and that's what we'll plan on. And matter of fact, Shalice, as you get ready to do that, we're going to do that. The notice is going to go out and all that stuff. As far as we're concerned, actually, I'm going to ask. I want to make it official. So why don't we do this? Can I have a motion from somebody that we conduct our August meeting as a Zoom meeting?
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
Sorry. The executive order from the governor that allows you to meet virtually, the complete meeting virtually, that is set to expire, I believe, August 6th. They have been renewing it on a month-by-month basis since, I believe, March. I expect it probably will be renewed again, but the authority that you have to meet completely virtually, I believe, is through that executive order. So if that's not renewed in any way, I don't know that you can. However, individual members are allowed to Zoom in, but we might still have to have some sort of meeting at all.
How about if
I would check with legal counsel.
How about if all of the individual, right? How about if all the individual members decide to Zoom in then? I don't care, but what I can tell you is, no matter what, I'm going to Zoom in. I guess maybe, I don't know if we can or can't vote for that then, but.
Ron, I'll just let you know, I plan on Zooming in as well. And I don't think we need to vote on it. It is an executive order at this point, so it's up to our, we can agree that we're going to. We do whatever you want, but if we're given the option of going in and Zooming, I'm still Zooming. I'm not exposing myself unnecessarily.
Right. Is there anybody on the board that wants to not Zoom in if we're allowed to?
If someone needs to be at City Hall from the board, I can go in. But if we don't need to have them there.
Right, but you're not voting on Prime.
No.
Yeah, if someone has to go in, Meg or I should be the ones to go in, but.
Well, you shouldn't have to. Nobody should have to go in. Right? Nobody should have to go in. Kelly and I were the only two representatives in the meeting Wednesday because it could only be two people. And we were the only representatives from the zoning board. So I'm just planning on a Zoom meeting until it's safe to do that. Otherwise, and I don't know when that's going to be. So, okay. Well, I guess we'll wait on that otherwise. If nothing else, then I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn, I guess.
I can make that motion.
Okay, you can. And what would that be?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Seconded by Ellie. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we're all set. Thank you very much. Joe, Kyle, Ethan, Shalice, thanks very much.
Bye,
Good
everyone.
meeting. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too.